We're live. We're back on Don't Gas. It's been a minute. Hi, everyone. Yes, we're back on Don't Gas the Badge. We're going to follow up last week's interview with another interview this week. I'm here myself, Buckstar. And as usual on the badge, I've got with me JD. And we've got our guest, Steve, as well. Welcome to the pod, Steve. How you doing, my brother?
I'm very good. I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good, man. So we're gonna kind of keep that kind of trend going at the moment because a lot of people out there, they want to know about academy football and stuff like that. A lot of people got kids who have got aspirations to play the game at a certain level. Others maybe not, but they're still playing the game. So this is going to be a really interesting interview. You got two sons. You got Jaden Ray and Harvey Ray, who both got accepted at Crystal Palace Academy. Just wanted to start a bit light, really. I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit about them and, what's their style of play? What kind of players do they like watching? What do they kind of base their game on, etc.?
Yeah, so Jaden Ray's the older one, so he's going under 13s this year. I would say he's a playmaker. He loves to share, likes to dictate play, likes to get on the ball, but he pops it off, likes to play 1-2s. Got a bit of a trick in him. Like his favorite trick is, I don't know if you remember the JJ Okocha roll lift.
Yeah,
that's what he likes
that's
to
a
do.
mad one. Okay.
Nutmegs as well. But his thing is, it's about the outcome. So he's not just doing these tricks for the sake of it. He's doing it because it gets him out of trouble or it allows him to create that bit of space so he can play a killer pass. He loves breaking lines. That's what he likes doing. He's both-footed. He can play right or left. And yeah, he likes to score bangers. That's what he does.
Okay.
Yeah,
We need
so
more of those two-footed players in the game, man. We need more of them in the game.
I think it's essential. You need it. And Harvey, the younger one, he's the cheeky one. Like he's the one that wants to nutmeg you and then nutmeg you again and then laugh in your face. So that's what he's about. He's
Where does he prefer to play?
So they both centre mids. Both prefer to play centre mids. They can play a variety of positions. So Jay going into under 13s, he's exploring playing on the right wing, which gives him a bit more freedom. But I think at essence, he's a controller. He's as I said, he's a playmaker, but he's playing off the wing at the moment. So he's playing as an inverted 10. And it seems he's really doing well in that position. And Harves played all of last season as a centre mid. They're trying him in a few different positions this season on the wing and even at the back. He likes to start off the play, pick it up off the goalkeeper and just go for a run. So
you got two creative minds there, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just want to shout out UK Frontline Magazine locked in. Thank you for the message there. I saw Jaden Ray's video. It's like a mini documentary, wasn't it, on his return from injury and stuff like that, which was like a really good story actually, and it just kind of shows you his mentality and his character to come back from something like that because it was quite a serious injury. And the documentary, by the way, for anyone who wants to watch it, it was on. It's called Behind the Techers by the Streets Football Channel on YouTube. So please check that out. All about his recovery from injury, how he overcame kind of the emotional and physical struggles that come with that at that age as well. We're not going to go too much into that today, just because kind of you've done that already. Please go and watch the documentary. It's really good. Just want to shout out Coach Malley as well, who was also on the documentary. I know he's done a lot of work with him as well. From the streets football, doing great stuff with the youngsters. Keep up the good work, because there'll be a lot of kids that benefit from that as well. That kind of one-to-one time that they might not get in the game, So I just wanted to start by asking, kind of, when your boys first joined Palace, what did you expect the academy experience would be like at that time?
Yeah, so with Harvey, it's very different because I've now lived it and I've seen it. So with Jay, when I first went in, it was kind of like academy says jump, you say how high. Like doing this a session, you were just kind of like, this is it. This is what we worked for. This is what we were trying to get to. But what I've come to realize as I've got into it is that ultimately this is still your child, right? And your decisions have to be flavored by a focus on development. And that's what I've always put first and foremost. I also realized that my conception of football is different from what academy life is. Like for me, football's a team sport. You share the ball, you move the ball, you play a passing game. I don't necessarily, I can't speak for all academies. Let me just say that. I can speak for the one that I'm at. And I think that the academy we were at, it was about letting the individual develop. So if you're someone that wants to stay on the ball and football, that's what they want. They don't try to change them, at least not in foundation phase. And if your child is a passer, then that's what your child does. And they're not going to try and change that. And that was a bit weird to me because I'm thinking, oh, you're going to teach them to play football. And it can be frustrating if your son's a passer and all 9 players in the team are dribblers, it could get long. Right? Yeah. So what you then find is that you start maybe encouraging your child to stay on the ball a little bit more because you're like, you're not going to get it back for another 10 minutes. You might as well stay on the ball. So on that side of things, it was a bit of a shock to me in terms of how they allowed that to happen. And it can be frustrating sometimes because what you're watching is not like proper football. It's just kids maybe just running around sometimes. And that can get quite frustrating. The other thing is the admin side of things. It's like what a lot of people go in and they don't realize is that it is time extensive and can get quite expensive as well. So what I mean by that is we had 3 training sessions a week, right? Plus a match day, right? And that training session, obviously you've got to commit to getting the child there, picking them up and all of that, which, if you're a working parent, because in the holiday, the schedule changes from evenings to daytime. So that can cause, logistic nightmares. And if you've got other kids who are into other sports or doing other things, it could be a complete nightmare in terms of how that commitment. And I think it's a shock to people because a lot of people don't necessarily realize that the commitment they're making when they sign up at academy. I can also say the other shock to the system is the costs associated. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to a game in Liverpool or Manchester, which doesn't happen all of the time, but on occasion, going to these games that are far, far away, trying to get there in the morning, your child might not perform because they're used to waking up early, traveling all that time, and then going to have to play a match. So sometimes you have to go in the evening. You go the night before, stay up there, and that's hotel costs, travel costs. Do you know what I mean? If you're driving, that's petrol and mileage. If you're taking the train, do you know what I mean? Then that's train fees and stuff. And obviously, nobody explains. Academy's not paying for that. They might provide transport for your child, but they're not going to provide transport for you. In the same way,
sacrifice is real, isn't it?
Yeah, wow. It's a commitment. And if your child gets picked for a tour to go abroad, the club will pay for your child. But if you want to go, you got to fund that. You know what I'm saying? You'll fund that yourself.
Yeah.
And furthermore, they don't really like you to stay in the same hotel as your child. So the child is with them. You got to stay in another hotel away from them. They kind of want to provide that kind of independence. They want them to grow up, which I understand. But, for some people, they're not used to letting their kids sleep out or be with strangers. So that can be a shock to the system that you're not expecting. Like right at the beginning of, academy, they do the welcome festival up in the Midlands, and they take the kids. They don't stay with you. So you got like 9-year-olds, 8 going on 9-year-olds for the first time. Some of them, it's the first time that they're away from their parents. It could get quite emotional. So there are so many things, man. I could go on and on about all the little things that you learn in the system. But I think for me, the biggest thing was trusting the academy to develop my child. Do you understand? Because by them signing, you're basically giving them the trust. And whilst they kind of explain to you their methodology, no one's coming back to you every single week and saying, right, this is what they're doing good, this is not. what they're doing. So feedback is not as often as I would like. And sometimes you see what they're doing in terms of where they're putting your child or what they're asking your child to do on the pitch. And you might not understand it, but you've got to trust it. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's hard because if you're telling your child to do something different, it's conflicting with what they're trying to get your child to do. And you might not understand the rationale behind what they're trying to do. And they don't really communicate it to that level. They just expect you to trust them. But where I come from, trust is earned, innit? You have to earn that. And sometimes I'm scratching my head thinking, nah, it's not making sense. And these are things that you have to learn to deal with.
Just before, because I know JD's got a question for you. I just want to read out a couple of comments quickly. Sorry, they did post earlier. Tiny Godfather, yes, bless up. Don't gas, but JD, watching with my son. Bless up, Tiny. See you on Thursday, brother. And we also had a comment from AJ Death Channel. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Is it Day Chanel? There we go. Got it right in the end. Two little bad boy players, Jay and Harvey. I actually think I have seen Jaden play when I went to watch Isaac. I think I remember him now. Yeah. Sorry, JD. I know you got a couple of questions.
I just want to touch on something that you said about trusting the coach and not understanding like the coach's thought process. I was for something similar to my son because my son joined the grassroots team. His first season with them was last season, and before that he was always playing on the wing. He was playing centre mid. He was playing up front, and the coach said, for the whole of last season he started him off at right back, and I was scratching my head thinking like, "Well, you play that kind of thing, innit?" Like. I didn't get it, but credit to that coach though. I'd say playing a right back for that season really like helped him like his game understanding. You know, because I mean he played predominantly right back, but then he could fill in at left back as well sometimes, centre mid. So it's just that position change or playing somewhere that he wasn't familiar with helped him like again in terms of game understanding and seeing the full picture on the pitch. So I just want to touch on that really. But sorry, if you want to expand on that, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say absolutely. So first thing first, see positional changes. If they're not doing that at foundation phase, which is basically from young till end of under 12s, that's foundation phase. If they're not experimenting in different positions, I'll say that's wrong. Yeah, because at that age, you can't say like categorically that a player is going to play this position, and that's the stage where you want to be exposed to different things. Like, for example, like everyone kind of says that my kids are centre mids, but I know that they can play different positions. And Jaden, for example, and Harvey, they've been exposed to playing centre back. But if you think about it, at 7-a-side, centre back ain't really centre back. It's basically midfield. It's like playing deep line midfield. So it's changing the mentality to understand that. And what it's exposing them to is 1v1 defensive situations. So they get better at reading the game, knowing if there's a 2v1 break, what positions do I take to cover the passing channel, but also show the man what, like there's little things that they're learning and they're being exposed to when they're playing those different positions. So I would embrace that. You know what I'm saying? I would embrace that. Definitely. I mean, my thing is that for that trust to be earned, I need to be able to have dialogue with you. So if there's something that doesn't make sense, it's not that I'm going to be completely against it. It's that I want to be able to speak to you and say, right, I noticed that this is happening. Like, is there a reason for that? Like, if you're playing my son at right back, can I understand why? Do you know what I'm saying? Because when you understand why, it's not so much of a problem. And if you have the understanding that perhaps he's not going to play right back forever, it's just a period of time because he wants to expose him to certain situations that are going to then help him when he goes into other positions. I'm all for it because it shows long-term thinking.
And again, like I said, the credit to the coach at my son's team that he really did explain things to me because, like I said, I didn't get it. I was thinking like I was scratching my head thinking like he's wasted there, but and he explained it to me, and like after the season, I see the benefit and I see the development in this game. But sorry, I wanted to ask you though, what do you think is an appropriate age for children to join academies then, and why? Really?
The golden question. Listen, I've been saying to everyone, right, and it's gonna sound mad, but I'm honest about this. I'm just being completely real. If I could have a do-over, my boys would not be going into academy until at least 13, going into under 13s. Yeah, and my personal reason, and people can, think differently. And again, I can only speak from my experience. But what I'm looking at is I'm looking at it rationally. As I just said to you, you're committing 3 days a week to an academy, right? And 1 match day. If we look at that in terms of time, that's an hour and a half to 2 hours every session. So if we just take the free training sessions, that's 6 hours a week, right? That your kid is in this academy environment where you're trusting them to develop your child. But not every child is the same, right? So not all sessions are going to be fit for you in terms of what your child needs. The way I felt was that when my son first went in, right, I felt like, hang on, some of these sessions that you do, he's so technically ahead because of all the individual stuff that he's been doing that it wasn't a benefit to him, these sessions, and we were wasting that time. So now if you look at that and you extrapolate 6 hours a week over 3 years of development time, which your child could be working on things that he needs as an individual, technical things, because that's the basis of the game. You need to master the ball, working on, athleticism, flexibility, agility, all these things, right? And also maybe enjoying other sports, doing other things, swimming, basketball, boxing, whatever, all these other things that you could be doing. Actually, in the long run, it's going to stand you in good stead, right? Because the reality is academies don't stop looking, right?
Yeah, and that's it.
People talk about how many kids going at under 9s and are still there at under 13s. Because it's like a merry-go-round. It's like a merry-go-round. They get these kids in. You've trusted them to develop the kids. They don't necessarily do that. Some do, some don't, right? And what they'll do is they're not going to turn around in 3 years and say, oh, we failed you. It was our fault. We didn't develop your kid. They'll never say that. What they'll say is, you know what? You've trained with us all this time, but there's a kid out there that's ahead of you and he hasn't had the training. So we're going to bring that kid in and put you out. Do you understand? So it's a merry-go-round. It happens all the time. How many times you look at Eze as an example? Look how many times Eze got dropped. And now look where he is.
Yeah, that's it.
Did you understand? So if the academy system is as great as it's sometimes portrayed to be, and I'm only speaking about my experience, right? If it's as great as it's portrayed to be, why is it then that kids that are in that system get replaced by kids that aren't? So something's going on. Do you know what I'm saying? Something's going on. Why is there this merry-go-round? Surely the kids that are in the academy, they've got the top coaching, they've got the exposure at the highest level of football for that period of time. They should be way ahead. So why are they not? Something's happening.
I was going to ask you something just off the back of that, actually. Just going to read a couple comments quickly. Sorry, we've got Daniel. Yes, Dan, real facts. So, he's in it with you. He knows what you're talking about, but we don't. This is news for most of us. And then we've got Oliver Miller as well, 100%. Thanks for the comments, Oliver. Thanks for the comment, Dan. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. You mentioned before about having to, this is when we spoke earlier today. You mentioned something about having to be a parent and a coach. So where you're talking about these people coming in who haven't had that academy coaching, you're talking about there's a lot of coaching that you will do kind of individually with your sons as well. What specifically did you mean? Like, what did you focus on, and what kind of sacrifice that involved for you yourself?
Yeah, so the first thing is, as a parent, right, my approach, since even before I had kids, was that when I have my kids, that's my number one job, right? Being around my kids, and I'm not just talking football, as in preparing them for life. Like in regards to, I pick them up from school, I take them to school. I don't miss any opportunities to be around my kids. That's just me, right? To the point where I negotiated with companies that I work with to say to them, listen, my background is marketing, right? And I worked in cyber security, and I used to work in the city. I worked in the city for over 15 years, right? But I changed my life so that I didn't have to be in the office. So when I speak to employers and we're going through the interview stage, I'm saying to them, if you want a 9 to 5 guy, let's just end the interview now, because that's not me, right? My work has to work around my life, work around my boys. That's just what it has to be. And fortunately, I've been fortunate to have worked for companies that are okay with that, because I've worked across different time zones, so I can work flexibly and make it work for me. So that's a blessing, right? But it gives me the opportunities to be observant of what's going on. The first thing is put your kids with coaches that you trust. I've been blessed in the area that I've been in. I'm going to give a shout out to a number of people. Obviously, you're going to shout out Mally from Streets Football. I'm going to shout out David Marriott from Lambeth Tigers. I'm going to shout out Darnell Lanks from Monster Mentality. Brandon from Lambeth Tigers. I'm going to shout out Ali, who works at Chelsea but has his own coaching thing. These are people that have been around my kid and worked with them, and they've worked on different aspects of them, right? And then also I want to shout out TSM, Total Sports Movement, and they've been working with my kids in terms of their athleticism. So one of the things I clocked from early was that my son Jaden had 1 speed. With the ball, without the ball, he was running 1 speed, and then there was no explosiveness. And part of that reason was because his body mechanics were wrong. He was running like Sonic, 2 hands behind his back, head down, running like Sonic. And I'm like, that can't work for football. So I had to find a solution. And we went to TSM. They helped over the years. They've helped correct that. They've added a change of speed. They've made him a little bit more explosive. And, you know, these are the things that I'm clocking, because I'm looking at what academies are loving. The one bit that perhaps I would do differently is that my son has been a passer for a long time, and I have never tried to change that until recently. Now I'm saying to him, love the ball a little bit more, stay on the ball a little bit more. Do you understand? So, you know, it's about observing and trying to add and make your kids better and making decisions and sacrifices. So that means paying for sessions, means driving them to sessions, making sure that they have a schedule that works for them. And the hardest thing is FOMO, not looking at what other people are doing and thinking, oh my God, they're doing this, that session looks hot, we need to go there. It's looking at your child, figuring out what your child needs, and then putting something together accordingly. That is so important, because a lot of people want to follow fashion. They want to see the coach with the most Instagram likes and with the hottest kids at their session, and they want to go to that session because they think that's where they need to be, but that might not be the right environment for your child. So it's about being very tunnel vision and individual, looking at what your child needs and putting that in place around them. So those are the sacrifices. And I think another aspect, and big up Mally, because he's actually doing a lot around this, the mental side of the kids, not just about football, but about in life. And I think that's the bit that parents are really needed to, the resilience. Like, I'm in awe of my son, Jaden Ray, because his resilience is nuts. The things that he's been through, and for him to still be operating at the level that he does, and the way he takes setbacks and then goes again. Like, if I was like that at his age, oh man, I don't know what I could have achieved differently, but he's so resilient and able to deal with setbacks and feel the emotion, but then go again. And he uses that to motivate himself, you know, and it's about working on that aspect, because the thing about this game is that not everything's going to be linear. Not everything's going to be positive, right? And if it's positive now, you're going to have to face a setback at some point. And it's about those that can take setbacks and just keep going. Again, I bring up Eze. How many setbacks did he have? And he still kept going. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's not everything's going to go right. You know what I'm saying? But you can't fall apart when it goes wrong. You know, these are the things that I think, you know, parents need to maybe consider. And being a coach daddy is not necessarily about how do you do a Cruyff turn, because you can get people to teach them that. And sometimes those technical lessons are learned better from someone externally than a parent. I want to be a parent. I don't want to be his critic. I don't want to be his coach correcting him all the time, because I realize that when I give information like that to my kid, even though I can coach on a basic level, it's not received the same. Yeah. But when
I know, I hear that. Yeah.
He takes it in like it's nothing. But with me, there's tears, emotions, all of that. Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
So I want to ask you. So what sort of coaching approach do the academies take? And in your experience, what are the pros and cons of their approach?
Yeah, so my boys have been to quite a few different pre-academies, and I believe that pre-academy is a bit different from academy. So I can't speak on every academy. I can only speak on our experience. I keep saying that as a caveat because that's just facts. I think that, again, this is one of the things that I might have taken a little bit more time to understand before making a commitment to an academy, is understanding what their approach is to coaching and how they're going to coach. Because, you know, where my boys were, as I said, it's about the individual. Yeah, they've got a group of boys, but they're not trying to develop a team at that stage. They're just trying to give a forum for individuals. They put individuals into a team, but they just want to watch what the individual does. Understand? And for some kids, that's perfect. But for some kids, that's not right. Do you know what I mean? For some kids, they want to go to a club where they work on a shape. They teach them about, you know, passing and moving, like how to share the ball. Or they teach them, and you know, people say, oh, but you know, they're too young, they should do whatever they want, and that's correct. But I find that when we play other academies, I always wonder to myself, why do they seem so ahead of us? Like, I mean, we played Arsenal recently with my younger one, and I was looking at them and I was thinking, it's not that our boys can't do all the things they do technically, they can, right? But there's an intelligence to their play that we don't seem to show, where the kids are comfortable knowing they can beat a man, but they're thinking about how can I transition the ball quicker into an attacking situation? How can I bounce it off someone and get round a player rather than do I have to take him on? Like, if they have to take a player on because they're isolated, they're fully capable of doing it. But like, there's a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a comfort in them that they know they can, but they choose when to do it and when not to. Whereas with our boys, I just always felt like their first and last instinct is, can I take the man on myself? What can I do myself? Oh, I'm about to lose it. Now I'm going to try and pass. Right? And to me, I'm like, at what point do you start talking to them about choices? At what point do you start talking to them about decision making? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, but it's a different approach. I guess that may be something that they do later on at YDP phase, but I'm thinking, well, why does it seem that every other academy is ahead of us? In
so
that
what about the one-on-one stuff then? Because that I know that your boys have worked with Coach Mally, for example, from the street football.
Yeah.
What sort of stuff does he maybe work on with them that they're not getting when they're in the academy?
So it's complete focus. So as a centre mid, you've got to be able to receive the ball under pressure, turn, be able to manipulate the ball and control the ball with different parts of your foot. You've got to learn different skill sequences to be able to escape pressure and stuff. And sometimes people will say, look, I've seen their videos, they're doing mad footwork, but I don't necessarily see that in the game. And my argument is you're building muscle memory first and foremost, right? You're building muscle memory. And not only are you building muscle memory, you're building comfort. Like, the tools of the game are your feet and the ball and your brain, right? So if you're completely comfortable with the ball and you can receive it and manipulate it in different situations, you can, your first touch is just without thought, effortless, right? That's the basis. Do you understand? And then as you grow and you become more physical, you can add those attributes to what you've already put in at the basement level, at the foundational level. So with Mally is working on the boys with the ball constantly. He says more touches, more techers, right? And it's because they're getting constant touch, because when you go to the academy, you might not get those touches. So how are you going to develop if you're not touching the ball? Because 9 other kids are dribbling all the time. So you got to go somewhere where they are going to touch the ball, where they are going to get to master it, where they're going to learn sequences, learn tools that they're going to be able to implement in their game. And what people don't realize is that it doesn't happen overnight. Boys have been going to Mali for years. Might have worked on something for like 9 months to 8 months, and then it might be that it comes out in a game because his muscle memory is there, and his body feels like this is the right situation to do that, and he just does it. Whereas you get other kids that might go to Mali for a couple of months and they're doing everything that they've learned. Like my younger one, he's fearless. He'll learn something today and he'll do it a million times in the game. Like without no fear of getting it wrong. Whereas my older one, Jay's a perfectionist. So you're thinking, why aren't you doing this? Why are you doing this? Because in his mind, he's got to be perfect before I bring it out. Do you know what I mean? And he doesn't want to make mistakes. So he's like, when I've perfected it and I know I've got it down, then you'll see it. Do you know what I mean? So it's different strokes for different folks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you one more thing then. So would you think that it's better for academy boys to still play grassroots so they can have the academy training or whatever, but still like, you know, maybe develop their like game understanding or like match intelligence and those kind of things?
I believe in more touches, more techers. So if you're not getting touches at academy, right, because, you know, there's a lot of individual dominant players around you, then you need to go somewhere to do that. Do you understand? That's one thing. Playing grassroots as well, I do notice that boys that are kind of academy level, when they go back to grassroots, they are slightly ahead of the majority. I'm not going to say all, because I think there's a lot of boys at grassroots that could be playing academy, right? So they tend to get more touches. They tend to be on the ball more. The other kids tend to trust them more with the ball because they're like, oh, he's academy boy. So do you know what I mean? They're going to do that. But at the same time, I can understand non-academy parents who are like, boy, you've already graduated to academy. Why are you coming back to grassroots for? Like, let us eat, let us cook. Because, you know what I'm saying? So I could kind of understand that aspect as well. But I think whether you're academy, whether you're at grassroots, it's just essential that your kid is in an environment where they're getting lots of touches on the ball. Because if they're not getting touches on the ball, they're not developing. What are they doing on the pitch?
I just got one more thing for you, because I think what we're going to do, we've got so much to talk about here, and obviously running out of time. So what I'd love to ask is if you could come back on and we can do a part 2, because there's so much more that we still need to talk about that I really feel that a lot of people out there need to know about. I just wanted to ask you something, and it's something that we kind of touched on when we spoke on the phone earlier, and it's about the intricacies. So if you've got a child at an academy, and you want to go and play somewhere else, or maybe there's another academy that you feel that you're going to feel more comfortable in. And the reason I'm asking that is I was in that situation as a kid. I was at Wimbledon, didn't like it, and I just went to Fulham. I spoke to Sonny, the coach, who anyone from South London, Southwest London, my age will know who Sonny is. And he sent me over to Fulham, and it was just as simple as that. Apparently it's not so simple anymore. So what is it that parents should be aware of when making these choices about where their kids should play?
This is another pitfall. There's so many myths around this, but I encourage parents to go and look at the FA rules around, you know, signing at academy, what it means, what that commitment is, and, you know, the impact that has on your child, right? Because let's put it this way. Once you sign at an academy, you are tied in. Yeah. Sonny can't do what he did before and take you to a Fulham. Can't work like that. You understand? If you're at an academy, right? So there's various scenarios. I try and make this as clear as possible. If you're at an academy, a Cat 1, let's just say Cat 1 because it's slightly different rules. If you're at a Cat 1, you can't go to another club. You can't leave. I can't leave Palace today and go to Fulham, right? Fulham would have to pay some compensation. And the level of compensation changes by how many years you've done in the academy. So if you complete the under 9 year, it's 5K, right? If you then complete the under 10 year, it's 10K. And bear in mind that it stacks, right? Then you go into under 11, under 11s, it goes to 15K, right? And then from there to under 12s, it's a big jump. It's 45K. Remember that it stacks, right? So if you're at an academy, the academy retains the right to get compensation on your head. And that's if they want to let you go, right? If they don't want to let you go, you can't just decide that you're going to leave, right? You have a window at the end of every year where, you know, it's called retain and release, right? Where the club will indicate their intention to retain your services. You at that point can choose to leave the contract and say, no, I don't want to be retained, right? But bear in mind that if they show an indication that they want to retain you, you choose not to be retained and you leave, that compensation remains. So you go back to grassroots, you go and play at grassroots. Let's say you play at grassroots for 10 years and then you go and sign at another club. That club has to pay the compensation. Compensation doesn't go away. Do you understand? The only way it goes away is if the club release you without compensation, which is where they decide we don't want to retain your services and they're letting you go. That's the only way. And a lot of people don't understand this because, you know, it's like you get into this relationship with the academy, things aren't quite going how you want it to go. You're not enjoying it. Your kid's not happy. You're not happy with what's going on there. You decide to leave. If the academy values your kid, right, and they think, actually, this kid's talented, they're not going to release you with no compo.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're leaving thinking, I'm gone, I can go wherever. Nah, it doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. You can go back to grassroots, you can play, but obviously scouts are going to approach you. They're going to be like, oh, this kid is quality. Can we get him in? And then they find out that there's compo. They may or may not choose to pay. And if they choose not to pay, you're stuck.
And the thing is, until it happens, a lot of people won't even know. You'll know when it happens. I suppose it's not something necessarily you're going to be looking into.
Listen,
you know,
you don't know.
I just want to finish off by asking you, and we are going to get you back on. Definitely. There's so much still to go through. We run out of time, unfortunately, but we'll definitely get it. So anyone watching, if you want to hear the rest, you're going to have to tune in again. We are every Tuesday we're on. So 9 p.m. GMT every Tuesday. Don't gas the badge. Everything we've spoken about today, what's the one thing you'd say you wish you knew before everything began?
And I don't want to insult academies, but it's not what it's cracked out to be. Seriously, like it's not that deep. It's not that serious. And, you know, you see the badge, you see Chelsea, Arsenal, Palace, this, that, and the other, and you're thinking of the professional teams. And yes, it is the professional club, but there's such a long way to go, right? And Rome wasn't built in a day. All I'd say is, you know, focus on development. Right. And if development for your child is not being in academy, don't rush the process. Really. And I know it's easy to say because I've had that experience. I wish I could go back. If I could go back, my kids wouldn't be going to academy at under 9s. They'd be going like 13s plus at that stage. And until I experience that, I might even experience that and turn around and say to you know what, 13 plus, I'm waiting till 15s. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. But from what I've seen so far, I just feel like taking your time back, using that time to work on what your child specifically needs is of far more importance than signing at an academy. That's just my belief. Yeah. And people can have a different opinion, but that's honest to God what I believe.
This is your experience. No, you know, this is your experience. So no one can really say anything. Everyone's going to have their own. But at the end of the day, that's the one piece of advice you would give yourself if you could go back, you know. Tiny just said, really good show, gave me a different outlook. I think it's given a lot of us a different outlook. Steve, it's been brilliant having you on. Honestly, I definitely want to get you back on again just to finish this story. We have to finish it. We've got so much more to get through. So thanks for coming on tonight and giving us your time. Again, I've been Buckstar. Sorry, JD, go for it, man.
No, I was gonna say, for real, man. I appreciate it, man. And this even gave me a different outlook. Like I was kind of eager because like if both my sons can play, I was kind of eager for them to get in. Now I'm kind of thinking like, you know what? They're all right where they are. Now they're all right where they are. Like I said, they're both developing. They're both enjoying their football, and I think that's something that a lot of people forget. Like, is to just let them enjoy the football. You know,
100%.
Enjoy playing, and try not to put too much pressure on them at such young ages.
I just had a Gripper 008. Big topic, big guest. 30 minutes, not long enough. Sorry, bro. You're gonna have to tune in again.
Yeah, we'll be back.
I'm acting like Netflix and that, you know. You'll tune in next week and that. But I appreciate everyone who's been watching, everyone who's been commenting. Thanks a lot for all your comments. Please like, subscribe, and as I said before, go and watch the docu-series or the documentary on Jaden. Really, really good, really, really insightful. I've been Buckstar. Thanks a lot, JD, for being on. Thanks a lot, Steve.
Thank you,
This
guys.
has been Don't Gas the Badge, and we'll see you again next week. For some reason, the outro doesn't want to play, guys. So we're still here. Apologies for the technical difficulties, everyone. Peace.
It's all good. It's all good.